Promise. What does the word promise mean? You can look it up, and there's a variety of synonyms that you can go by, but basically it means assurance, assuring someone that you will do something or not do something. Now, in the Bible, the closest verse that I can come up to with something like this is in James chapter 5, verse 12, and it says, "Above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, your nay, nay, lest ye fall into condemnation." Now, I know that this verse is talking about taking an oath by heaven using God's name or something to that effect. However, the last part of that said, "Let your yea be yea and your nay, nay." Now, when I was growing up, my family and those that we associated with, we didn't have to promise anything. Our word was our bond, as they say. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Now, I want to tie this in with the day I became a Christian. The night that I went forward to become a Christian, when it got to me, there were several that responded that night for various things, but when it got to me, I said, I want to be baptized. I want to be a Christian. A little bit later, when it was my turn, stood up. Yes, I believe Jesus is the Son of God. Went into the baptistry. I came up out of that baptistry, new and whole. I knew very little about the Bible at that time, but the parts of it that I did know had been taught. It was with the understanding that when I became a Christian, it was forever. I had made a commitment to God, to Christ, and Christ understood that. So my action, in essence, carried the weight of a promise. Now, why do I look at that particular passage that way? Last week in our song service class, we said that if a song it can come from any genre, as long as it is scripturally correct, and if it is presented in the right way, we can use that song. If you would, take your songbook and go to 439, because part of that presentation has to do with understanding, knowing why you're doing it. Number 439 was written by a man named John Bode, B-O-D-E, in England in 1866. He was a rector of the Anglican Church. Now, the Anglican Church, as many other religious organizations, believed in infant baptism. And basically what happens at infant baptism is that a parent, godparent, and depending on which group you're dealing with, they make certain statements, but they affirm that that child is going to be brought up in such a way that they will follow Christ's teaching. Then the infant is baptized. Hadn't got time to go through all the rules of why that's scripture, why that's not appropriate. But with him being a rector of the Anglican Church, the next step in the process after that is after they have been taught and learned, then they go through a confirmation process. And the confirmation process, there's no more baptism involved. The person is old enough now, and again, depending on group, it could be teenager or even as young as 7 years of age. But they affirm that they're going to do what their proxy said they would do when they were baptized as the infant. So this fellow wrote this song about his 3 children that were about to be confirmed. And the actual title when he wrote it was, "Oh Jesus, we have promised." And then it was changed later to "I have promised." And it has been used through the decades since in an incorrect way because they use it at confirmations. So when we look at it and sing the song, we not only have to read the words, but we have to have the understanding. And this song is very appropriate and would deal with baptism. It says, "O Jesus, I have promised to serve thee to the end." That's what I did without saying the words when I became a Christian. Those of you who have been baptized, is that what you had in mind when you became a Christian? That it was a lifetime commitment? That you wanted to be there with Christ? It says, "Be thou forever near me." Well, we know that I just made the comment that I knew very little about the Scripture when I was baptized. I understood at that point that I was going to have to do a lot of study. Christ grows closer to us as we grow closer to him. And then it goes on to say, "My master and my friend." John 15:14, 14:15. You'll be my friend if you do my commandments. Christ is the master. He can also be our friend. And then it says, "I shall not fear the battle if thou art by my side, nor wander from the pathway if thou wilt be my guide." And that is our whole intent as we study, learn, and grow closer to Christ. We let him lead us, and we have no need for fear. The second stanza then says, "Oh, let me feel thee near me." We've just said that he gets closer to us as we get closer to him. And then it goes on to express the idea why they want him close. "The world is ever near me. I see the sights that dazzle, the tempting sounds I hear. My foes are ever near me, around me, and within me." Well, the only way they get within is if you allow them. If you draw closer to Christ and have Christ close to you, then he shields you from that temptation. I think the best way that I can explain this particular verse is many years ago, Andrew and I had decided that we would take a trip to Gulfport, Mississippi, to one of the casinos. Now, the reason for the trip was that there was a group that was going to perform, and that's the only location they were going to perform anywhere close to us, Circus du Soleil. So we went down there, and we had two things in mind to do. Going in to watch the performance, have a meal before. If you've ever been in a casino, you know that everything is strategically organized. They put all the temptation right in front of you. So as we went in the door and went through rows of machines, all with the sparkling lights of different colors and everything, the sound, the clinking, and even a bell every now and then, and hearing coins drop into metal receivers, dazzling sights, sounds. Andrew and I went in to eat. Had to go through the same thing to get to the auditorium to watch the performance. Same thing when we left, but not one time, not for one microsecond, did I have any urge to reach in my pocket and put a coin in any of those machines. God was close to us because we were close to God. Last part says, "But Jesus, draw thou nearer and shield my soul from sin." The closer we get, the more shielded we are, and it is within our capacity to do so. Another scripture says, shun the devil and he will flee. It actually says, resist the devil and he will flee. And then the third verse of that says, O Jesus, thou hast promised to all who follow thee that where thou art in glory, there shall thy servant be. And Jesus, I have promised to serve thee to the end. O give me grace to follow my master and my friend. So even though the fellow that wrote this had a misunderstanding of Scripture, he still wrote a song that is scriptural if we sing it with understanding. I just said that we made a promise when we were baptized. During that time, some people fail that promise. They stray from that promise. When they stray, the Bible also tells us in James, confess your faults one to another, pray one for another, and you'll be right back in the good graces, be able to start over. There may be some in the audience tonight who have not put Christ on in baptism. No matter how old or young you are, if you have an understanding of the Scripture, that the only way that you will be with Christ in eternity is to become a member of the church through baptism, you know enough. Then you have to study and grow and learn. So if there's anyone that has any need at this time, please come while we stand and sing.
Would you live for Jesus and be always pure and good? Would you walk with Him within the narrow road? Would you let Him bear your burden, carry all your load? Let Him have His way with thee. His power can make you what you ought to be. His love can cleanse your heart and make you free. His love can fill your soul and you will see 'twas best for Him to have His way with thee. Would you in His kingdom find a place of constant rest? Would you prove Him true each providential test? Would you in His service labor always at your best? Let Him have His way with thee. His power can make you what you ought to be. His love can cleanse your heart and make you free. His love can fill your soul and you will see 'twas best for Him to have His way with thee.
Good.